Hello and welcome to the Empowered Women's Project, a podcast and community made by women for women to help you live your best life and reconnect you back to the things that really matter. Today we are joined by super mama and incredible coach Janai Giddy as she shares some of the things that she's been able to do to step out of that self-comparison and back into self-love. Not only has she seen that transition in an amazing shift in her own life personally, but also the flow-on effect to her children as well. You're going to love this interview. Can't wait. Let's jump in. I am so excited to be jumping on with our special guest today, Janai Giddy. Janai is one of our amazing mentors in the Empower Women's Project. She's a super mama of two and really has found her own strength and power in her journey of life and is really passionate about showing others how to look for that self-love and acceptance within, not looking externally, which I think so many of us can be guilty of. I know myself included. So thank you so much for joining us, Janai.
Thanks for having me.
Let's just so everyone gets to know a little bit about you. I'd love to share a little bit about your background, your backstory, where home is for you, and then we'll jump in.
Oh, of course. So, I am from a little town in North Queensland, married to my hubby Joe for, what have we been married? 18 years. And
That's
two
amazing.
kiddies, Michaela is 12 and in first year of high school, which is scary. And then our son Jaden, who'll be turning 17 in October, which is crazy. So they're my world, 100%. But I've just been doing a lot of growth over the last few years. That's made me discover more about myself, which is then, definitely in turn helps my family out also.
Yeah. And so I guess sometimes we have defining moments in our life that kind of everything clicks into place, where in that moment it might be a really challenging or tough time, but it can also be the thing that helps us pivot or reassess life and what's important. What's been some of the defining moments for you in life that has really had you look at life differently?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely had one of those. So a few years ago, our son Jaden was going through a really difficult time in high school. He was coming home on a regular basis, just always concerned about not having friends. And if something was said, he could only take it as one way and would really affect him if it was someone having a joke. And in turn, it really affected him. But every time he came home, it was like it was affecting me so badly. Like it was like a stab in the chest as a mum, and it would make me feel sick. So I came across a coach that I think you guys had introduced us to, Nima, and I'd done a free call with him, and I said I wanted to chat to him about helping out our son. He said, look, make sure your hubby Joe's on the call with you. And he asked some questions, and asked about Jaden and the things he was going through and how my relationship was with him. And he said one thing which really hurt at the time, but changed our direction as a family. And he said to me, you don't need to fix your son, you need to fix you. And
I just got goosebumps.
yeah, I first of all was like, excuse me, there is nothing wrong with me. What are you talking about? Then proceeded to cry for like 2 hours after the call with Joe going, it's okay. And that was the moment that set me on a whole new course of self-discovery that in turn was a massive change for our family.
That's amazing. I think I can relate as a mama. There's been many times that I've wanted to help my kids through things, but in reflection, it's almost like I'm trying to help the little Kate through that thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is about those unhealed things. I remember taking my son, he switched schools, and when he was in grade 1, halfway through the year. And I remember walking him into the school, and it was all of my stuff and emotions. He's looking up at me and just this big smile, and it's going to be great, Mum. And I'm just like a total mess, but it wasn't about not thinking he'd be okay. I think it was all the stuff from me in school that it was just bringing things up for. So I love that you heard that advice. So I'm sure it wasn't nice to hear to start with. It's like, hang on a second, what are you talking about? But share with me, how did that start to change things for you? What had you starting to look within?
So I after I sort of got over the initial shock, I thought, okay, well, how do I fix me? What does that look like? And I've been in contact with another coach who kind of just resonated with, again, someone I think you guys had introduced to me with Michael Johnson, and something it just sort of resonated with me. So I did something I'd never done before. I went away 4 days on my own, left Joe and the kids, and went on 4 days of really discovering a lot about myself, a lot of my old stories that were coming up that were preventing me from moving forward. So those 4 days were incredible, incredibly emotional, really big days. It brought up a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that was there and was definitely holding back, and why I was so emotional with everything that Jaden was going through. And the fact that, and when I did that, a lot of stories came up. Oh, I'm a mum. I can't go away 4 days on my own. What about the kids? Who's going to look, all those kind of stories came up. But those 4 days, which I got to concentrate on just me, even though those challenges came up while I was there, your phone call from home is something going wrong. But I knew that I knew deep down it was 4 days I needed to spend working on me. And it was just a really big kickstart into learning so much more about myself and those old stories. And it's incredible what that then changed for our family moving forward.
That's amazing. If I can rewind one little bit, prior to having that conversation with Nima that you mentioned, were you feeling like you needed to fix yourself? Was there an element of frustration that you were personally acknowledging or feeling? Or was it just, because I guess for some of the people listening right now, I guess we're all a work in progress, right? There's always going to be stuff coming up in life, and sometimes we're too busy in life, work, business, kids, whatever, to just stop and slow down and just reassess things. So I love that you took the time and made yourself that priority. But were you feeling agitated, I guess, prior to that, or were you just ticking along?
Yeah, no, I lost part of me. Yeah. So there was definitely elements of my life where I kind of just felt like I was just floating through life. Often spending time in my walk-in robe in tears because I thought I had to keep that from the kids, just because I felt really stuck. I might get a bit emotional talking about it now, thinking back to it actually. I felt really stuck. I didn't think I was showing up as a best mum every day, 100%. And as a best, as a good friend, as a good, I think as women too, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be all of these things, but there was definitely something, I could definitely feel something internally that just didn't right with me. Not that I thought anything was wrong with me, and I don't think that's what we do when we go and do these courses or something, that there's something wrong with us, but I felt something wasn't right, and I felt like there was something I needed to do. I had no idea what that was. I didn't know what that looked like because I'd never done anything like that before. But yeah, there was definitely a feeling inside of me saying I needed to do something for me. I just didn't know what that was.
And so in that journey, what are maybe some practices or some habits that you started to do differently that helped you kind of learn about yourself and heal through some of those things and ultimately shift things in your family as well? Because I'd love for you to share that, because I'm sure it's things that we could all start to do in different ways in our own life as well.
Yeah, one of the main things for me was speaking kindly to myself. I had a really bad habit of speaking terribly to myself. Like I wouldn't speak to my worst enemies the way I would speak to myself sometimes. And I look back at it now, I think, my God, that was so terrible, Janai. Speaking kindly to myself, allowing myself those times busy all the time. I always thought I had to be doing, the house had to be clean, the washing had to be done, the kids I had to be on time for everything. And I put so much pressure on myself that now I'm like, you know what? If the washing is sitting on my floor in the laundry, I really don't care because I'm going to go and do something with the kids. Just taking that pressure off myself and allowing myself the time to sit in those moments when something comes up instead of pushing it down really low. I had a really amazing brick wall set up too for my emotions, so nobody could get in. I couldn't send any of the bad stuff out. But just if something would come up, instead of just pushing it aside, going, oh, don't worry about that, that's okay, just keep moving forward. You've got to do, just sitting with it in a moment and going, okay, why is this coming out? Why am I feeling a bit off at the moment? and just allowing myself the quiet time to actually do that. It might be going for a walk or just sitting with the book, instead of pushing it down, because it always resurfaces in some other way, and it might be just going off of the kids for no reason. So I found doing that and just loving myself more, loving myself for who I am. Gratitude plays such a huge role in the way I feel these days, being grateful for everything I have in my life, instead of going, oh, I should be doing this. Well, hang on, what am I grateful for today? And just practicing that daily. That's some of the things that have really been, and they weren't huge things I had to do, with these small daily tasks that I just started incorporated into my life that have been a huge impact, not only for me, for both of my kids.
What's the flow-on effect been for them?
Oh, honestly, this is where I'm going to get emotional. So I'm going to keep it together so I can talk properly. Biggest one, so around me, it was self-love and really big body image issues for me for as long as I can remember. And so at the time I had Jaden going through those issues, but Michaela also came to me. So she was less than 10 years old, and she went to put something on, and she said, Mum, I don't know if I want to wear this. I'm like, why? She goes, I'm scared of what people will think of me. And I went, holy crap, that's my story. That is my old story that has continued in my entire life. So without doing anything different with the kids and just working on what I thought about myself, worrying less about what others think of me, but how I think of me. Honestly, Michaela, she's just got, that girl is rocking it. Like, for a 12-year-old now, she still has moments, but she's just got so much confidence, just sort of owns who she is. And I love that about her. She's got the strongest personality, which is kind of frustrating sometimes.
Staring in the mirror sometimes.
I'm like, it's frustrating now, but I know it's going to help her when she's older. But Jaden has just got this, he's quick-witted. He, if someone says something to him, he just goes, you know what? That's your problem, not mine. And he just brushes it off. He's surrounding himself with some really good friends and people who value him because the way he thinks of his friendships. Honestly, it's just incredible. And I didn't do anything differently with them. I just started treating myself better. And it's just remarkable, the flow-on effect that it had for our family. It was just incredible.
That is just absolutely beautiful. And I think it's a great reminder. We, often we'll do more for our children than we will for ourselves.
Yeah.
And they see everything we do or we don't do.
Yeah.
They see us emotionally eating or not wanting to wear something or not feeling good or that crappy. So they see it all. Yeah. And they also see if we're taking time, no, this is my time right now. I'm going for my walk, or no, I'm listening to something we're not listening to the radio in the car. We're going to listen to a podcast. It's going to, or whatever it might be. Yeah. They observe, and they're little sponges. So, if you want to shift something in your life, you got to look internally first, and then the flow-on effect will happen.
Yeah, it's so true. And I still use them as my little guides now. A few weeks ago, Jaden sort of brought up an old story around friendships. And then Michaela sort of had this comment about what she was going to wear or something to something. And I'm like, oh, hang on a second. Instead of me going, okay, what do I need to help them both with? I kind of went, hang on a second. I took a moment for myself. I actually went for a walk. I thought, okay, what have I been not dealing with at the moment, or what am I pushing aside? And I went to work on that. Both of those stories they were telling themselves, I didn't speak anything differently. I just worked on what I needed to at that point of time. Michaela got over what she was thinking. Jaden got over what he was thinking. And then I felt better with what I was pushing aside and not dealing with myself. So they're definitely my little guides now. When something comes, I'm like, okay, Janai, what aren't you dealing with that you need to work on? Yeah. That's beautiful. Worked for me anyway.
Amazing. Now, circling back to your body image, I know you've been through a huge transformation. And one of the things that I have loved seeing you as a coach and a mentor to so many people on their wellness journey, you are just a force to be reckoned with. You take care of people. You really show them how they can take that next step in self-love, and also bringing in some daily habits where they're actually nourishing their body and really making a shift. Tell me a little bit about, I guess, if I recall correctly, after you having Jaden was kind of when you had that point of where you had some weight to lose and there was a lot of body image things happening for you. Tell me about that journey, because I think for a lot of women, I know for me as well, even through my pregnancies, being pregnant was amazing. And then it's the flip side of, oh, I have this baby in my arms, but my body it's a different story. There's a whole lot of work to do. And I thought it would just bounce back the way I used to be. And it's a very different experience. So can you share a little bit about that journey for you and now, what keeps you inspired to take care of you in the way that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, food was all mixed with my emotions. If I was sad, I ate. If I was hungry, I ate. If I was stressed, I ate. It was all based around food. Probably coming from a Sicilian family where everything is around, you gather around. But I'd done it, I had worked through a little bit during high school, and I kind of started working on my health and fitness. But I was always looking for that quick fix. Unfortunately, I was always looking for that what's going to get me there straight away, and not really looking at my body for what my food I was eating as really the way to do it. And when I had Jaden, I put on 20 kilos. So at the end of that, I'm like, that's okay. It's going to breastfeed. It's going to fall off because I've seen how it happens. I'll be fine. Then I couldn't breastfeed. So I'm like, oh, right. So I can't do that. And then those body image issues really hit me really quite badly. I wanted to go back to the gym because I was going to the gym before that. And when I finally got the courage up to go to the first day, I pulled up the front and said to Joe, okay, you've got Jaden. Yep. All right. Pulled up to the gym and I saw how many cars were there and I went, I can't do it. I can't walk in. I drive home. Joe goes, what are you doing home? I said, I couldn't do it. I couldn't walk in. Took me weeks to get the courage up to even walk in there for the first time, which was so scary. But it was just making those small steps each day to do something for me. And then I made that my time. So that was my time to concentrate on me. I knew Jaden was being looked after. It was just time for me to look after me, which I hadn't done. When you have a baby, you kind of can't think of anything else but that little bundle that you have, in your arms. And then I had to really stop looking for that quick fix. So, I was tired, you're not getting any sleep. So I was looking for those ways to fuel my body. And it took me a long time. It took me 4 years, if I remember correctly, to lose that weight because I had so much mentally to work through too, the mindset to work through too. But the doing that, and I'm so grateful for that challenge now, because without that I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have that story to be able to help others and to be able to resonate with others that, no, you know what, your health journey is not quick. It's not a quick fix. It's something you need to work on every single day. And yep, there are days where it's challenging. The challenge is absolutely worth it. And like I said, I'm so grateful for those 20 kilos. It wasn't at the time, but what it's allowed me to understand about my health and how my body works and what fuels my body the best has definitely allowed me to help a lot of people in their wellness and health journeys.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think as mamas, it's really easy to look left and right and compare your journey as a mum to someone else who's had a baby around the same time. And it's like, oh my God, she looks amazing and I look crap. I remember after my first baby Xavier was born and going to the front door, and a florist was delivering some flowers, and he was only, I'm going to say, maybe a week old. But they give me the flowers and they're like, oh, congratulations, you're pregnant. And I was like, I just had the baby. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not how it was supposed to be. So it's like, and I don't know that there's many, prior to me having kids, those conversations didn't happen. There's a lot of real conversations that I think are so important and powerful, because otherwise you have this lopsided perspective of how it's supposed to be, whether it's being a mum, whether it's being married, whether it's having teenage, whatever. And we think, when I reach that goal, when this happens, the skies will open and it's going to be amazing. And when it's not that, we crash. We find a little rock bottom along that.
Yeah, 100%. That was definitely me. I had this image in my head of what motherhood should be like, what my body will be like afterwards, and put so much pressure on yourself to do all of that and to realize, you know what, that's my story is this. I can't compare to the person beside me or to my friend at the same time. The comparison game was something I was fantastic at, like probably the best. You want to play a comparison game, I'll win, because it was something I was really, really bad at. I was often comparing myself, body image, being a mum, how my house is, turning up every day and that kind of thing. And just realizing to stop doing that and just focus on me and how I can best do all of those things that are going to suit me at my level, at whatever in my daily habits is a powerful decision to make instead of looking sideways and just look within.
Yeah. So what's maybe some words of advice that we could share with those listening that could be in that comparison thing too? Like what's something they could be thinking or doing differently that could help shift them out of that?
Yeah. Gratitude for what you have in your life right now, gratitude for your body, gratitude for your family. Honestly, that was one of the big things for me. If I looked, well, how come they're doing this? I'm like, well, hang on, what have you got going on in your life right now, Janai, that you can be really grateful for? And the more I did that, the less the comparison game came on, and the more I just focused on me. And it's absolutely okay to focus on you. I think sometimes we get told too much. I think, when I first became a parent, it was, you're a really good parent if you put your kids first all of the time.
Yeah.
That made you a great parent. I'm like, oh my God, but it's so exhausting. How do you do this all of the time and not worry about yourself? And understanding it's okay and it's absolutely necessary. And that's what it's found for me, to spend time focusing on me, focusing on how I can every day, because I know it's had a massive flow-on effect. And it's not something you have to go, okay, now I've got to go and spend a week on my own. It's
yes.
Maybe it's 5 minutes sitting out in the grass listening to your favorite song, and that's your time. It's just finding those little things that that make you feel good and just doing a little bit of that every day. That doesn't have to be this massive thing. It can just be those little small steps, and just focusing on you and not looking for that, what everybody else is doing, because you'll never win. You'll never win that game of comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know before we started recording, you were sharing how passionate you are around helping other women on that journey, and whether it's on their wellness journey or also, coaching them how to create that extra income stream online to be able to really put themselves first and not feel guilty about that. Because I know you're working right now too, you've got the kids. How did you start to justify, because sometimes that's what we have to do, in your own mind, that, whether to invest time in yourself in personal development or learning new things or growing your business? How do you see that showing up as a positive influence to your kids versus taking time away from them, which sometimes we can see the other way?
Yeah, 100%. I get, because spending that time on myself and learning more about myself or doing something that lights me up definitely gave me more confidence, and that my kids can see that. And the tools that I've learned in doing the personal development, I have been able to share tools with them. Instead of them coming home and saying something and me dropping your bundle, and like, well, hang on, I've learned a strategy around that.
Yes.
And talk to the kids about that, and using what I'm learning and to flow onto them, teaching them about gratitude, and choices and everything I'm learning, I'm passing on to them also. And I think that's massive. And when they see me doing something that lights me up and seeing how then that flows on, because I'm, I feel good every day. And yet we still have those challenge days, 100%.
Of course.
We still have those. But I think just it's allowed me to show up as a better mum every day. And I'm using those tools also with them every day to help them as they're developing. And I think if I can help them at this age now, they might not wait till they're in their late 30s to kind of, finally find what they need to do in life.
Yeah, so, I love that. So if there was one piece of advice you could go back and give your 10-year-old self, what would be something that you would say to her that would have made the journey a little bit easier?
How many emotional times in this call am I going to do? I would say, Janai, you are enough exactly as you are. Yep. Yeah. That's what I would tell her. I would tell her that, that she is enough, that she's a beautiful person exactly the way she is because of her heart and to not look for that external acceptance all the time that you are okay. That all comes internally. You don't have to have someone tell you you're amazing. You don't have to have someone tell you you're pretty, or it all comes internally. That's where it needs to start first. You get that right, and honestly, it's such a huge difference. That's what I would tell her.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, has there been maybe a favorite book or a quote that you just love, that you live by at all along the way?
Honestly, one of the books that have really made a big impact, and it's probably been a lot lately, even though all of the work I have done over the last few years, The Resilience Project.
Okay.
Amazing. It's just about gratitude, empathy, and resilience, and it's just really tied a lot together of what I've learned over the years, and it's been a massive impact. It was an amazing book. So yeah, I think I've listened to it 5 times.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that is absolutely one of my favorite books. And I'm looking up on my wall at the moment because I have some of my favorite quotes in front of me every single day. And one of them I love is, I am proud of how far I've come and excited for how far I am yet to go.
Oh, I love that.
So not that I guess I love that, is not that I think that I need to fix myself all the time, that I know that you don't ever stop growing. What is one of the quotes we learned? When you stop growing, you're dying. So I know every time I do something new, there's something new that comes up in me that I think, oh, I didn't know I had that in me. How can I work on that? Or how can I develop that? And that excites me. Something comes up and I get to learn a bit more about myself. Yeah.
And I love that you've got things around, like having a vision for the future is really important, right? Because sometimes we can get stuck in day-to-day life and we might be feeling crappy about ourselves or our relationships or our body or our finances, whatever it is. But I know for me along the way, anytime I've had a vision bigger than where I'm at right now, that's been that thing that's pulled me forward and out of being in that crappy state. I can see some love hearts on a whiteboard behind. It looks like you've got some cool stuff written over there.
That's Kayla.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So one of the things that started when I started doing my personal development is she started writing her own quotes. So that's actually her. She's got "Shine bright like the stars. Life is amazing. You're amazing. Beautiful." That's what shine
From
bright.
your 12-year-old daughter. How special is that?
Live life to the fullest. Shine bright like the moon. You can see your reflection. Like this is.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful.
It's on my board.
You should be so proud of the journey that you've been on, and also the amount of people that you are inspiring into action, whether that's into self-love, taking care of themselves on their wellness journey, and also just putting themselves first. I think there's just so much to be said for that. And having a vision and finding that if you don't have it, showing them what's possible. So I am so grateful. It's been amazing chatting with you today. And there's just so many little lessons along your journey that I know I can relate to, but also practicals of just getting back to, it might sound simple, but getting back to gratitude and slowing down and taking time out. And I love that the flow on effect of you going within has then, affected or influenced your family and those around you. And I'm sure, I'm curious from so your mom or your husband, what have they observed in you over this time? Because you are just this confident, beaming ray of sunshine. I know you haven't always been that way and you're grown massively. So what's the observation of others?
Yeah, well, for mum, she says to me now, I wish I knew the Janai now when I was a teenager.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
There's lots of stuff that I've worked on that, some old stories that she had. So I love that I'm at, that she's kind of picked that up and she's seen such a massive change in me. And definitely Joe also, he sees now that I'm a bit more lit up every day instead of just existing, I guess is kind of where I was.
Yeah.
I show up excited a lot of the time now, and it's the excitement that I flow onto him and the kids, and he's like, oh, okay, so I know he's very proud of how far I've come, and he tells me that, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So just in finishing up today, hun, for those ladies listening right now that are feeling a little stuck, frustrated, maybe they're doubting themselves, maybe they're crying in their wardrobes as well and trying to put on that tough face to everyone else, what would you say to them?
Firstly, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to, to those challenges. And I think it's finding some way or someone to reach out to help you. Because I was kind of a part where I didn't know how to help myself. So I had to look for help. And just so that's okay. You can let your wall down. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. We all have our challenges in all different ways, and just spend some time on you, spend some time finding out what might light you up, what's something that gets you excited, and just do a little bit of that every day. Share it with your family, share it with your kids, let them know what that is, get them involved somehow. And you're absolutely worth spending that time. And that's something I still remind myself, on the odd occasion too, I'm worth it. I'm worth doing this work. Reminding yourself that you're enough and you're absolutely worth it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know there's lots more we can chat about, so we'll definitely have you on a future episode. And for those of you wanting to connect with Janai and learn more about what she's up to and how she's inspiring so many people, we'll pop her links into her socials, into the show notes as well. So thanks so much, honey.
Thanks for having me.
We hope that you enjoyed our special interview with Janai. She is such a sweetheart, and I know just learning around the changes that if we can start to make the flow-on effect of how that changes others as well, it's pretty amazing. So to learn more about Janai, you can jump into the show notes where all of the links to her social media are. And also, if you're curious to learn about the Empower Women's Project and how we are helping women on their journey of life, you can jump across to empoweredwomensproject.com or check us out at our other social media handles as well. We would love it if you'd head across to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, and also curious to know what you would love to hear more about. We're always on the hunt for more people who inspire others to live their best life. And I think now more than ever, there's more opportunities and choices for women, but also what comes with that is confusion and pressure and expectations of others. How we should parent, when we should have kids, if we can do it all, the career, relationships, all of that. So join us on a future episode as we interview more incredible people showing you how to live your best life by being real and authentic along the journey. Until next time, have an amazing day.